As we go to air, Ukraine is in a fight for survival. Russian troops closing in on the nation's capital. It's all-out fighting on the streets of Kyiv, with anyone who is willing urged to pick up a weapon.
Kyiv under attack as Russia closes in on the capital. Fire breaks out as government officials confirm active fighting has hit the streets. Ukrainian soldiers swarmed the city as the threat drew closer, lying in wait, guns drawn. Residents filming Russian tanks rolling in, this one driving directly into a car, crushing it. Miraculously, the man inside survived. The assault intensifying. With no location off limits. A cancer centre coming under fire in the southeastern city of Melitopol. Ordinary people caught in the crosshairs of war. Ukraine launching a rocket at this school in the pro-Russian town of Holivka, killing its headmaster and geography teacher. But as the country's army battles the enemy, its citizens are grabbing guns. Men aged between 18 and 60 banned from leaving, forced to stay and fight. President Volodymyr Zelensky posting this late-night video from the streets of Kyiv, saying, "We are all here defending our independence," with a grim warning of what was to come. This night will be harder than the day, he says. They are going to storm. Ukraine's destiny is being decided right now. Former President Petro Poroshenko arming himself while live on TV.
This is the short Kalashnikov. Normal, ordinary people, sometimes never been in the army, staying in line now to join us.
How long do you think you can hold out?
Forever.
The fight back seeing Vladimir Putin urge Ukrainian soldiers to overthrow the government, saying take power into your own hands. Women too are taking up the fight.
Yeah, I will be willing to shoot and kill someone in defense of my family and my city.
This woman confronting a Russian soldier on the streets, yelling, "Take these seeds so sunflowers grow here when you die." Tens of thousands of others not taking their chances, taking their children to the borders.
Where are you going? Where will you go?
Poland.
Your husband, where is he?
Ukraine.
There is no possibility for men to leave. So we need to decide. I have a 5-year-old kid, and I have also my sister who has 2 kids. So we are really scared and don't know what will happen here.
This woman in tears saying it's unfortunate we got here in our old age, facing a war. This American expat chose to walk for 20 hours to Poland after all the trains were booked and no cars available.
On the way, the number of refugees began to pick up. A number of cars were stopped on the road. They had run out of petrol. Their drivers had abandoned them, and their families that had occupied them were carrying all their things in their hands.
In Kyiv, the rush to get out resulted in a crowd crush at Central Railway Station. Guards firing warning shots to stop a stampede. Despite the mass exodus of Ukrainians, those who have decided to stay here in Kyiv are seeking shelter wherever they can. We're here in this underground car park that doubles as a bunker, where people have spent the night here sleeping in cars or on chairs. Australian man Sean Kello is among them.
It's just a crazy situation. I mean, what is the point of it? Nobody knows. Everybody's concerned, everybody's worried. Now we're just reassessing the situation and organising a way to drive out to probably western Ukraine, eventually to Poland or Romania or somewhere.
Underground metro stations in the capital remain makeshift shelters. People try to get some sleep, and a brief moment of happiness, a baby is born as war goes on up above.
Our Europe correspondent Karianne Greenbank was one of the thousands spending the night in a bunker in Kyiv. And Kari, what are you being told right now there on the ground?
Well, Georgie, the explosions that we're hearing now are pretty constant, and we're being told to stay where we are and when the air raid sirens go off to head down to the bunker. But the hotel that we're staying at, well, it has been doing its best impression to look like it's closed. It's been taping up the front doors with black plastic. It's been closing the curtains, switching off the lights at night so as to not draw any unwanted attention. It feels very much like what the World War II blackout regulations must have felt like. Here in Kyiv, President Zelensky has said he is willing to negotiate and he is willing to discuss terms of neutrality, so Ukraine never joining NATO. Russia has said that it will negotiate, but only on one condition, that Ukraine demilitarises, which, Georgie, essentially means surrender.
Karianne Greenbank, thank you. The second day of Russia's assault on Ukraine has seen the focus on the capital, Kyiv. Lizzie Pearl joins me in the studio. And Lizzie, how are things looking as we go to air?
Georgie, Russia's military power far outweighs Ukraine's capabilities. And while the attack has continued on 4 fronts, the capital, Kyiv, has been the clear target in the last 24 hours. Russia claims to have control of a strategic airfield just outside Kyiv, the Chernobyl nuclear site, and has circled the city of Konotop in the north. And Russian forces are closing in on the city of Kyiv itself, moving in from the northwest and the east. The city of Kharkiv, just near the Russian border, is gradually being surrounded, while to the south, Russia has made some big territorial gains just over the border from Crimea. And an amphibious assault has been launched by Russia from the Sea of Azov in an effort to further cut off the Donbass region in East Ukraine. NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organisation, already had thousands of troops in Poland, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. And in response to Russia's invasion, NATO is activating its response force, beefing up defences across Ukraine's neighbours on the eastern flank of the alliance. Member countries will continue to supply weapons to Ukraine, but not boots on the ground. NATO, which includes the US, says it will not engage against Russia unless a member nation is attacked. Georgie.
Thank you, Lizzie. Well, as Ukraine's capital is threatened, the world is holding Russia to account. From personal sanctions on its leader to banning the country from major world events, Russia is feeling the pain, from the sporting field to the stage.
A show of solidarity on the streets of Tbilisi. Georgia's people know all too well how a Russian occupation feels.
Georgia stands with Ukraine and Russia is our enemy too.
Memories of Russia's 2008 incursion still painfully fresh. The European Union, the first to fire off a personal sanction on Vladimir Putin, the bloc unanimously voting to freeze the property and bank accounts of the Russian president. Only 2 other world leaders share this dishonour.
Assad from Syria, Lukashenko from Belarus, and now Putin from Russia.
After a 40-minute phone call between President Biden and Ukrainian President Zelensky, the US followed suit.
The United States will join them in sanctioning President Putin and Foreign Minister Lavrov.
President Putin is a pariah on the world stage. His economy will suffer.
Sanctioning Putin, a rare step and a symbolic one, but with mystery surrounding the Russian leader's wealth, it's unclear whether this move will have any real impact.
Why doesn't President Biden want to talk to Vladimir Putin right now?
Because he's invading a sovereign country.
NATO leaders gathering in person and online for an emergency summit, deciding to activate, for the first time in history, their response force. Significantly bolstering air, land and water defences along the eastern flank, British troops with tanks and trucks seen heading to Estonia to support forces there.
We call on Russia to stop this senseless war, immediately cease its assaults, withdraw all its forces from Ukraine.
Putin's actions are leading to complete isolation.
The British Prime Minister appealing to Russians in their own language.
And to my Russian friends, я не верю, что эта война от вашего имени.
At a meeting of the UN Security Council, the Ukraine ambassador called for a moment of reflection.
Let us spend a moment in a complete silence.
But couldn't get it. Kazakhstan, one of Russia's closest allies and neighbours, has denied a request to send its troops to join the offensive, and it's not just world leaders slamming the door on Russia. Formula One cancelling this year's Russian Grand Prix, UEFA taking away the Champions League final from Putin's hometown, Man United pulling Russian airline Aeroflot's sponsorship rights, and Russian tennis star Andrei Rublev spelling it out after his Dubai semi-final victory.
Well, they might just have a message, Andrei Rublev.
And the contest where geopolitics is always centre stage, Russia, now banned from Eurovision. At the White House, Alison Petrowski, 9 News.
China has rejected Australia's pleas to publicly condemn Moscow for the invasion of Ukraine. As it steps up its own response, the Morrison government will target President Putin himself with sanctions, insisting it stands with Ukrainians abroad